Hello, this is Justin at the Tech Train here, and I'm going to show you a magic trick in PowerPoint, and then I'm going to teach you how it works and how to make it yourself. I'll also tell you how you can get a copy of this actual file. So let's begin. To begin with, PowerPoint is asking us to think of a card. This is a great icebreaker or lesson starter, anything just to lighten the mood just for a couple of minutes, and you can have this as interactive with people right in front of you, choosing any playing card they like. But because you're not sat in front of me, I'm going to use Alexa to help me instead with this, and I can promise you this is absolutely guaranteed. I have no idea which card she's going to choose. So let's click begin first of all, and this is the card that PowerPoint thinks that we're going to choose. Let me now ask her, Alexa, please choose any playing card.
Your card is the Three of Hearts.
Okay, there we go. So Alexa has chosen the Three of Hearts, and this playing card has been sat here the whole time, of course. We have absolutely no idea what it is. But if we click on it, it will reveal itself. So let's click the card and see, is it in fact the Three of Hearts? It is. Absolutely fantastic. But of course you might be thinking, lucky guess, maybe it's always the Three of Hearts there. You've just stuck that on the slide. Well, let's do it again. So here we are. We're back to this beginning slide. We'll click begin. There is the playing card. There is the prediction. And let me get another random card chosen. Alexa, choose another playing card.
Here is a playing card, King of Hearts.
Okay, there we go. So another random card there. So the King of Hearts. So here is our playing card. We'll click it in order to turn it over. And if you've got a smart board with a projector, you could tap the board or get someone to come up and tap the board to turn the card over. You don't even have to do it yourself. But we click the card and it is in fact the King of Hearts, exactly what Alexa chose. So I'm going to show you now how this works and how to make a copy of this yourself. So first of all, let's see how this works. Be interested to know in the comments how many people actually worked out or guessed what I was doing during this, but here we are. In case you didn't work it out, this is the secret. So I'm first of all going to get another random card chosen. So Alexa, choose another random card.
Here is a playing card, Eight of Hearts.
Okay, Eight of Hearts. So you can get anybody to name any playing card at all, and we're going to split this into the value and the suit. We'll do the suit first, and in this case it's hearts. So what we can see on the screen here are some playing cards around the edge of the screen. They look just like a decoration, like a border, but they're there for a reason. And first of all, we're going to look at the three cards along the top and the three cards along the bottom. And you can see that the corners of these line up. So the bottom corner of this playing card at the top draws a straight line all the way down to this one at the bottom. And similarly, the corner here connects to the corner at the bottom, and on this card at the top right, that corner there lines up with this corner at the bottom. So if you can visualize those three lines coming down the screen, they are dividing that screen into four sections. Let's have a look at what that would look like if I add borders to this slide. So with these lines or borders added, you can see that we have four big quadrants here, four big sections, and these are actually invisible buttons that we can click on. The first of these is for hearts, the second for clubs, the third for diamonds, and the fourth one for spades. So we have this slide here, and when someone says a card, in this case it was the Eight of Hearts that Alexa chose, then we think hearts, and our first click is going to be in whichever one of these quadrants is matching the suit. So hearts, I click on this left-hand quadrant. Anywhere in it, doesn't matter where it is, but I'm using these corners of the cards so I can visualize where that quadrant is. So I click on that, and of course it looks from the audience point of view as though this is the same slide. We will not make it obvious that we're clicking. If you're using a smart board, and I've done this over many years in classroom teaching, I've done this, it's very easy just to tap the smart board casually just as you're drawing attention towards the screen, not making an obvious click, just a back of your hand type tap. If you're using a mouse, of course, then again, it can be pretty subtle. But that click takes you on to another slide, and this is now where we choose the value of the card. And we've got these same 3 vertical lines coming down, but we've now also got 3 horizontal lines. So on the left-hand side, this corner lines up with the one on the right. This corner lines up with the one on the right, and so does this one. And that divides our screen up into the 13 squares we need. Let me add the borders so that we can see that more clearly. So now with the borders showing, you can see that we've again got 13 invisible buttons, and although they're invisible, we can work out where they are based on the corners of these playing cards around the border. So this first one here is ace, 2, 3, 4. Second row is 5, 6, 7, 8. The third row, 9, 10, jack, queen, and this button on the bottom that just is completely the whole width of the screen, but it's at the bottom here, is king. So once we've got the value, which in this case was the 8, we work out where the 8 is, in which case in this case it's over here. This is the value of 8. And again, we simply click. Just a casual touch with the back of the hand or a very subtle click with a mouse. But again, that's taken us on to a third slide that again looks identical. So nothing as far as the audience is concerned has changed. We're now on the third copy of this slide, but we've now sneakily told PowerPoint what the suit is, hearts, and what the value is, 8, which means that the card underneath this has now already been changed to the 8 of hearts. And if I click anywhere, it will reveal that there. There we go. So that's basically how it works. And of course, we can go straight back and do it again. Let's do a very quick one so you can see with the lines exactly what's going on. So let me get another random card chosen. Alexa, choose a random playing card.
Your card is the 4 of spades.
Okay, there we are. So first of all, I think spades. So it's hearts, clubs, diamonds, spades. It's this right-hand side here. So I click once. Now I've got the buttons for the value, and in this case it's the 4 of spades. So ace, 2, 3, 4. So it's this one at the top here. Click. And now we're on to the third copy of the slide. This has now already changed the 4 of spades, so I can click anywhere and reveal the 4 of spades. There we go. So once you know the secret, it's fairly easy, and of course it's pretty sneaky. It can be done very, very subtly. I've done this over many, many years, things like this and this sort of thing over many, many years in classrooms, and I have never once had anyone spot what I was doing. No one has worked out how I did it. So it can be done quite subtly, and it can fool people and really get their attention. So let's have a look now at how we can make this presentation. Pretty simple, but we'll have a look at how we can build this. Okay, so I have a new PowerPoint presentation here. I've just got 2 slides, and you can see what I've done is put a green background there on the first slide, a couple of text boxes with whatever writing I want to put, a button, and this button here begins simply. If I go to insert action, you can see hyperlinks to the next slide, so it just takes me on to the next slide. Technically it's not necessary because we know we can click anywhere on this slide to go to the next slide. However, we want to avoid people from thinking about the fact that we can click anywhere on a slide to move to the next slide, because then they might just spot the fact that we are clicking on the slide. So to just put people off a bit, if we add a button here, it just lends a bit of weight to the idea that you can't move from one slide to the next without using that button. So it's a subtle little thing, but I think it works. And then we've got a playing card here. I've got all these other ones underneath here, but I'll get rid of those for the moment. That was just for the morph transition. Don't particularly need it, but I might add that in later. This playing card back here, if you want to get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation that I showed you just now, the complete one, the finished one, the working one, you can get a copy of that, and you can get a copy of this folder that contains all 52 playing card images, as JPEG images, and the back, which you need as well. And what you'll need to do is, whether you get these yourself, make them yourself, or you get the copy that I've got here, which you'll find a link in the description below for this. What you will need to have is a folder in which you have two things: a subfolder called cards, which contains all these images, and then your PowerPoint presentation itself. So you need these two things, the folder of card images and the PowerPoint presentation, together inside whatever folder or location you want. And these cards here, you can see that I have named them using two values basically. So the two of clubs here is called C2, so clubs 2. 5 of diamonds, D5, so D for diamonds and 5 for the value. Over here we've got the jack of clubs, so it's C for clubs and J for jack, and SA, so spades and ace. So that's how they're all named. Pretty simple. Back is just simply called back. So that's how to name the cards, and that'll be important when it comes to the small amount of coding that we'll need to do. So we have this slide with our button, just the back image there, don't particularly doesn't do anything other than just should suggest to your audience that there is only one playing card that we're really all focused on. And then this next slide here, which contains this big playing card, nothing behind it. It's you obviously can't actually turn it over, there is no back to it. It is simply a picture of a playing card, and that's it, nothing else. So that's where the magic is going to happen. Right, what we need to do first of all then is we need to start thinking about some code. And to add some code, don't worry, if you've never coded before in PowerPoint, it's really simple, so don't be worried, it's very straightforward. But to add code to PowerPoint, you need the Developer tab at the top. Now, if you've been watching some of my previous videos on PowerPoint and adding code, you'll know about this now. But if you're not sure how to get that Developer tab, because it's not there on yours, simply find any blank area of the ribbon at the top, right click and choose Customize the ribbon. And then you will find on the right hand side here a list of all of the tabs that you could have on your ribbon, and you will find on yours that Developer is unticked, like that. So simply pop a tick in there and then click OK, and that will make sure you have the Developer toolbar, and that gives you access to various tools, including this one on the left for Visual Basic. Now once you click on that, it brings up this rather uninspiring window here. On the left hand side is your project, so this is your card trick file, whatever it's going to be called, and we need to right click on that and choose Insert Module. And that basically is kind of like a text file, if you like, sort of a window there that we can write some text inside, and this is where we're going to write our code. Maximize that. And there are going to be 4 main sections to our code. The first section is we need what we call a couple of variables. Variables are just labels. Think of them as a label on a box that we can put something in, because we'll need the computer to remember a couple of things. The first thing it will need it to remember is what the suit is, and the second thing we'll need it to remember is what the value of the card is. So to create these little labels, we use a code word called dim, and the first label I'm going to create is suit, then a comma, and the second label I want it to create is value. And we want these to be what we call strings, which is basically just another word for text. So it's going to be a little text label that will store either an H for hearts, an S for spades, C for clubs, D for diamonds, and then the value label, which will contain the other part of our card. So press enter after that, and that's the first part of our coding done. Now we need another block here, which will be where we reveal the card. So I'm going to call this sub reveal. Sub just is short for subroutine. That's just a code word basically for block of code, and you'll see that if I write sub reveal and press enter, you get the little brackets afterwards. That's not a mistake, we need them there. I'm not going to do anything, but we still need them there. And then end sub, which says that's the end of our little block of code, and we can give ourselves a little bit of space between those two there. Now, in order to be able to reveal the card, we do actually need to have a playing card space that we can have revealed. So I'm going to move this back out of the way, duplicate it, And then we've got, well, we've got that one at the back there, that one in front of it, that's fine. This is going to cover up the other playing card behind it, and then when we do the animation, the one in front is going to disappear. So that's what we need to have, is two images, and the one at the back will change to show whatever the playing card is that we've chosen. So once we've got that in place, we need to name these two labels, or at least the one at the back. To name a shape or picture, we go to Home and then Select and Selection Pane, and here you can see the names of the different parts or different items on our slides. We've got Card 1, which is this one on the left hand side. I'll just change the name of that to Back. Then we've got a text box, that can be called text box 1, doesn't matter. And then Card 1, I'm just going to call that Card. There we go, like that. So we've got Card is the name of the playing card on this screen here. Right, now we've got that, and we also know we're on slide 2. However, we do know that we need to have some duplicate copies of this second slide. So on the left hand side in this preview, the thumbnail section, I'm going to click on the second slide and press Ctrl D twice. So now we have duplicates of that slide. And in actual fact, we can cheat a little bit, because on slide 2 we don't even need that back there, and slide 3 we don't need that one there either, because the actual card is only ever going to appear on this final slide here. So what I'm going to do now is move this playing card in front of it for the moment, copy that so it's in the right position, and on these two I might as well just delete that, paste it here, delete that, paste it back in. So now we have 3 slides which are all absolutely identical, but the first 2 slides, slide 2 and 3, they don't have anything underneath them, but slide 4 does have a duplicate copy underneath it called Card. So there we are, we're now in that position. We are now going to be able to change the value of the card. So back to our code window, and here I'm going to I'm effectively creating another variable here. It's just going to be called card name. We're not going to use it anywhere else in our code, so it doesn't have to be created at the top of our code block. So the card name is going to equal the suit and the value. So we're putting those two together. So if the suit was hearts, we'd have an H for that, and if the value was 3, we'd have the digit 3. So the card name would become H3, and of course that's going to match the name of the file here, so h3.jpg. So we've got that first bit there. Now once we've got the name of the card, we need to tell PowerPoint where we'll find the picture of the card. In this case it's in this folder here, where we'll find that card in order to be able to bring that into our slide and display it in that card picture. So to do that, we'll create another variable, effectively another label. It's going to be the path to that location, and it's going to start with active presentation, which is the PowerPoint file that we're in now, .path, so wherever this PowerPoint is. And we need to add a little bit more to that. We're going to do /cards, that tells it to look at wherever the active presentation is, this presentation here, then look inside a folder called cards, so you can see that that would be this folder here called cards, and then we need to add something else. So we and something else, and in this case it's going to be the card name. So again, if that was H3 for 3 of hearts, that will be what we'd have. So card name, and then we need to add one more thing, because we do notice that these files all have .jpg at the end. If you're using PNGs or bitmaps, whatever, you'll have a different extension, but in this case it's JPG, so we need to add that on. So and .jpg in speech marks. So if they did choose a 3 of hearts, the string path would now be wherever that presentation is, into the cards folder, and look for the file called h3.jpg. Now that we've got that string path, we can now change the picture on this image here at the back called card. Now we need to know which slide this is on. In this case we're on slide 4. That's important. It could be different in yours, but in this case it's slide 4, so we need to bear that in mind. So we're going to say in the active presentation on slide 4, so again that could be different in yours, look for the shape that is called card. That's what we call that picture at the back, and we're going to fill it with a picture that you will find in that label called string path. So that's what that line of code there does. Now we've done that, it's not going to actually work yet, of course, because there's no way that we can actually show what card name is. So I'm going to just cheat a little bit just to show you how this does actually work. So we wouldn't normally have this bit of code here that I'm going to add, but bear with me. I'm going to say suit equals, let's say, different card. Let's have a different playing card. Let's get Alexa to choose one. Alexa, choose a playing card.
Your card is the 8 of clubs.
Okay, there we are. So 8 of clubs. So let's say the suit is C, and the value is going to be, whoops, value equals, what did she say? 8 of clubs, was it? 8. There we are. Now, this wouldn't normally be put in here, of course. Later on, we're going to find out what these are and add them in. But let's just say, for example, that when we run this block of code called reveal, that by that time we've already got these values in the variables suit and value. Let's go back to our presentation now, and I'm going to add a temporary sneaky button. Just stick it there for the moment, doesn't matter what it is. And I'm going to insert an action, so insert action and run macro. In this case we've only got one option, and that is the block of code we called reveal. Click OK. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to run it. Now, of course, if I run it, it's going to start with this slide, then it's going to go on to this one, and then this one, and then eventually we're going to get to the slide that has the button on it that we just sneaked. Now, of course, this back here would normally be covering the one behind it. I've just moved it out of the way so that you can see. But if I click this blue button, you can see that that does in fact change to the 8 of clubs. So you can see how that does work. And that would, of course, happen behind the scenes with this card in the front of it, hiding it. So that's how we can see that we're changing the value of that picture, or whatever picture it is, depending upon some code. Right, so now we've done that, let's get rid of that for the moment. We don't need that anymore, and I'll get rid of that button. Oh, I did already. And let's add some more code in here. So we know that we've got code that will actually change the playing card into whatever playing card the user has selected, but how do we actually get the values into the variables suit and value? Let's do suit first. So what we're going to do is say if the user clicks on a button for hearts, then we're going to say that suit is going to equal H. And once it's done that, we're then going to move sneakily on to the next slide. So we can do that with slide showed windows 1, so that's whatever window we're in at the moment. Change the view and go to slide, and in this case we'll be on, now let's have a look. So the suit will be chosen when we're on slide 2, so that's where the suit buttons will be. So we'll need to sneakily move them on to slide 3. So we'll go to slide 3. Once we've done that for hearts, we need to copy this entire subroutine 3 more times and change that to the other suits. So we'll have clubs, and if they choose clubs, then the suit will be a letter C. We'll have diamonds. Oh, I really can't type today. Diamonds, there we are. And we'll have a D, and then what are we left? Spades. So spades, and that will be an S. So now that we have the 4 subroutines for the suits, let's add buttons that link to that. So what I'm going to do here is, on slide 2, create 4 buttons, just using the rectangle shape there, and I'm going to divide that up into 4. Now, There is a way of getting this exactly right, and I'll do it once just so that you can see how I would get it exactly right, but I'm not going to do that every time because it'll take too much time. So here's how I would divide up the screen exactly. There are a couple of different ways. The quick and simple way is to go to View and choose Grid Lines. And if you're looking at this full screen and high definition, then you'll see there are some little faint dotted lines that come down here, and that would allow you to find roughly the 4 quarters. So it's basically 4 of these squares along, I think. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is to create your own guidelines. So I can go to Shapes, get a line, hold Shift so that it's going to be exactly vertical. Let me just increase the thickness of that and the color so that you can see that more clearly. There we go. Then once I've got that, I can now go to Align Center. So that centers it exactly on the middle, vertical middle. I'm going to duplicate that and put one on the left-hand side here. Duplicate it again and put that on the right-hand side. Duplicate it again, and this time I'm going to put it roughly in the middle between these two, but I'm going to click on these two on the outside and choose Align Distribute Horizontally, and that puts that one right in the middle like that. Let's just make a copy of this, pop it roughly over here, and then if I select these 3, I can go to Align Distribute Horizontally, and that puts that one right in the middle. So now those 4 guidelines can show us exactly how we can divide up the screen into these 4 equal quadrants. I mean, ultimately, it doesn't matter if it's not pixel perfect because you're not going to see the buttons anyway, and you're probably going to avoid clicking too near the edges because you want to be safe. But that is a way of making sure that it's as accurate as you possibly can get it. I'm not going to worry too much about accuracy for the purposes of this tutorial because I don't want to go on for too long. But let's just create this button here, duplicate it, and then twice more. So there's my 4 buttons, and I'm going to add an action to each of these buttons. So I'm going to click on the first one, insert action, and this macro will be the hearts. So we'll choose hearts. Click on the second button and click on action. This macro will be clubs. The third one, insert action. So hearts, clubs, diamonds. Here's the next one. And then finally we'll add spades. Of course you can choose your own order if you like. That's a fairly common standard order to put the suits in. Now I've done that, I can click all of those 4 buttons, head up to Shape Format, get rid of the outline, and get rid of the fill, so no fill. And that will mean that we now have this slide here with 4 invisible buttons which will tell PowerPoint which suit we are choosing. The next thing is to go on to slide 3 and do the same thing, but this time with more of those buttons. So in this case, we're going to choose, and I'll do this very roughly first of all, just so you can see the basic idea. So it'll be roughly, let's see, that's probably a little bit too big. Let's make that a bit shorter. There we are. So it'll be 3 of these vertically with bigger one at the bottom, which will be the king, like that. And then 4 of these going horizontally, and I have made these too short. There we are. Let's select all of those, in fact, and make them just a little bit wider. There we go. And that will now give us our 13 buttons in 3 main columns and 4 rows. So I've done that very, very roughly. You can see that I've not got that particularly lined up. Again, it's not critical anyway, but you get the idea. So ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, king. And we're going to do exactly the same as we did with the suits. So for each one of these, we're going to add the macro. Of course, before we do that, we need to write the macro, which is very, very simple indeed. So let's go and do that. So in our code now, underneath that last suits, we want to have another subroutine, and we'll start with ace this time. So subroutine for the value of ace, and we're simply going to say that if we click on that button, value is going to be A for ace. And then what we're going to do is tell it to do the block of code called reveal, which is this one at the top here. So now we've got the suit and we've got the value, we can do reveal. Now that won't actually show the card. What it will do is make sure that on the last slide, that card now already has the right picture selected. Still hidden by the back of the card in front of it, but it will be there. So we can say reveal because we've got all that information, and now we can sneakily go on to the next slide. So I'll simply copy this line here, and the next slide in this case will be slide 4, our final slide. So you can see that is the code we need for ace. Now I'm not going to do it for all 13 values, I'll just do it for the first 4. So we've got ace, and then 2, 3, and 4. And of course the value in each of these is going to be different. So for 2 it's going to be 2, for 3 it'll be 3, and 4 it'll be the number 4. And of course Jack, Queen, King will be J, Q and K. Alright, so we've got those 4 there. I'm not going to do the rest, but obviously you would need to, and I'm going to get rid of the ones I'm not going to use here for the moment. Get rid of that. And for each of these buttons, let's go to Insert Action and run these. So the first one is going to be ace. The second one is going to be 2. The third one is going to be 4. And the fourth one is surprisingly going to be 4. There we go. And once we've done that, we can now select those buttons and go to shape format, get rid of the outline and get rid of the fill. Like that. So we have our invisible buttons. So basically we're there now, apart from the final thing, adding an animation to this card that will make that back disappear. We can do that very simply by going to animations. It'll already be there already, so we can simply go to add animation and fade it out, or whatever animation you want for it to disappear, like that. And of course we need to put that into the right position, like that. Okay, so that's it now really, apart from if you want to add in the border around the top and sides that just give you an indication of where your buttons are. If you're really good at spotting this, or you want to put little stickers or a bit of blue tack or something, or some gold stars on the actual whiteboard itself, or the border of the whiteboard, little dots or something, then use that. That's absolutely fine. So you don't have to put these little markers on the presentation itself, but if you want to, all I would do is say, okay, let's have these buttons here. Let's just quickly pop in the outlines so we can see where they are. Let's get this card over here, copy it, make it a bit smaller, and then we can just put that so that the corner nudges down into that line. And I can do another one over here. What I tended to do on my one as well is do them at different angles so it doesn't look so organized, doesn't look quite as sort of rigid as it were, so it doesn't look as obvious that that's marking something. So there we are, that's that one, and put one in here, and the final one, something like that perhaps. And what you'll need to do, of course, is to make sure that these are copied onto all of these 3 duplicate slides. Otherwise, they're going to start disappearing and appearing, and it'll all look very odd indeed. I think, have I got... Yes, I think I've got shadow on both of these. What I'm going to do as well is just to remove the shadow from the back of this card here, so we don't end up with a double shadow. That could look a little odd, so we'll go to shadow, no shadow. There we are. So if you want to do the borders, we can do it that way. Let's just get rid of the lines around the outside now. Shape outline, no outline. We'll copy one of these cards, and on our second slide here, we can bring these buttons up again, add in the shape outline briefly, just so we can see where those cards need to be. In this case, there and there. And you'll have more rows, of course, but I'm only doing the first row here just for speed. And then again, once you've put those in, copy them and paste them into the other 2 slides so it all is matching. Okay, let's run this now and see how this works. I'm going to save it, hit F5 to run it, click the begin button, and you can see that these markers here are giving us a good indication of where our invisible buttons are. You will notice that the mouse pointer is in fact a hand, not an arrow. And of course, a hand indicates the mouse is over a button. However, in all the years I have been doing this trick and similar ones in classrooms and in teacher training as well, I have never, not once, had anyone spot that or query it. No one's thought about it. It's not an issue. So don't worry if you think, oh, they're going to spot that. They won't. Let's have a card then. I won't get Alexa to choose it because I've only got the first four possible. Let's go for the 3 of spades. So the first thing I do is the suit, so I can look at these little cards here and work out where my spade button is, which is somewhere on the right hand side here. So I can click anywhere there. That sneakily takes us on to the next slide. And of course I've only got the first row done here. So 3, I can see that that's my first button. The second button, this is the 3, somewhere around here. So I can click anywhere in this box here, and that will now have told PowerPoint all it needs to know. It knows the suit, it knows the value, it knows it's 3 of spades, and that is now already in the picture underneath this back. So now if I trigger the animation, then we can reveal that it is the 3 of spades. So there we go. That is how to make this magic trick. I hope you like it. I think it's fun. And it's not only a good exercise in learning how to programmatically pull pictures from a folder into PowerPoint, which is a lot more efficient. If you've got a PowerPoint file with, in this case, it would have 53 pictures, all playing cards and everything, that becomes quite a heavy file. You can slow it down. It's not very efficient. And if you want to update the pictures, that's a nightmare. But doing it this way means that you have more control of the pictures, the PowerPoint file is slower, it's slicker, it's more efficient. And of course with the code, we can now do the whole thing in just 2 or 3 slides, whereas if we wanted to have 1 slide for every playing card, that would become unwieldy and not good at all. So it's quite a good little trick to know that one. And I think it's a fun thing to do at the beginning of a lesson or to wake people up, and just as a throwaway trick. If you liked that, please do give this video a like. It makes a massive difference to a YouTube channel when people click the like button, so I really would appreciate it if you could, please. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, first of all, why the heck not? Secondly, please do. Not only will you know when new videos are released, but also you will show YouTube that you are supporting this channel, and that makes it so much easier for me to go on creating new content. So hit the subscribe button before you go. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions or thoughts or any issues, do leave them in comments below. I do read all comments and I try to reply to as many as I can. And if you do want a copy of the first PowerPoint presentation I showed at the beginning of this video, the complete one, the link for that is in the description below. So thank you very much indeed for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Bye for now.